let's move on to tip number 2. Read books to be changed and not just to get more information. So information alone will not change anything in our lives. If you read a book, and if after reading a book nothing has changed in your life, why did you read it? You didn't get anything from it. You know what I mean? Unless it was forced, unless it was obligatory or compulsory for whatever. But one thing I would like to clarify is that when I'm referring to being changed, I'm not just talking about external change, but maybe internal change. So let's talk about this change that can be internal and the change that can be external. For example, the internal change when reading a book might be that you start feeling or developing new feelings towards certain things that before you had negative feelings associated with that. Now, I will share a personal example. I was writing an academic paper for a journal here in Spain, and talking to a professor, he said, okay, why don't you read the book The Tyranny of Merit by Michael Sandel, who is I believe a political philosophy professor in Harvard, and I wrote a paper for this journal to publish about this book. By the way, I do recommend that book. That book is good stuff. It will make you think. And after reading that book, I was surprised that, in Spain we pay a lot of taxes, okay? And it's not always reflected on society. However, after reading that book, my feelings towards paying taxes changed. I only had negative feelings before, and after reading that book, I was like, oh, I'm actually glad I'm paying taxes. I'm glad that, for example, women, when they give birth, they are able to take 4 months for maternity leave. I think that I want a society that gives that type of treatment towards women and also towards men, because it's actually men in Spain also get 4 months. And now that I have a baby boy and we take care of him, I realize, my goodness, I don't know how people do it without 3-4 months. You know what I mean? It can be really, really brutal and challenging on women's body and things like that. And obviously the house and maintaining and cooking, and it's just crazy. And in Spain, the company doesn't pay the maternity leave, is the government, the taxpayers basically, and so the government administers that to pay the maternity leaves and things like that. Now, does that mean that all money of the taxpayers go to the right reasons, the right causes, things like that? No. But if I had to choose one of the inconveniences, I think that having all of these things as common goods in society in Spain, I do believe that I feel better with that type of compromise than women not having this type of maternity leave, or parents in general, men too, fathers. And so that is my opinion, so that was my change of heart, so to speak. So when I pay my taxes, I'm okay with it. I'm like, yes, absolutely. I want a society in which when women give birth, they have 4 months, and also the fathers, and they can be with their kids, and they can organize the house and take some time to be. So that is my take. Now, I don't believe that everything should be completely socialized and and mismanagement of funds either, but definitely I do not believe in this individualistic conception of society. I learned through this book that we are more in debt to one another than we realize, and this idea of the self-made person is actually a kind of a myth, which, by the way, we'll have an episode on meritocracy, and we'll dive really seriously on that topic, and you'll see why I hold the views I hold. And we also will read some of the excerpts about Michael Sandel and The Tyranny of Merit, which I highly recommend you read, regardless of what position you hold. I think it's gonna be a really profound reading. But I'm just sharing a internal change that it's not like I did more or I did less, but I became, I guess, more at peace or loving with this idea of giving my money so that other people are taken care of, basically. Now, another type of change could be the external, right? Like you read a book in the case of the financial situation, and it does change the outcome of your life, you know what I mean? And so that is just another example of that. But in internal matters too, because it's not just what we do, but how we treat other people in the way we do things, The quality of our doing matters. Not all type of doing or deeds or things that we do are equal, you know, like many times we can do things but without any type of intentionality or care, you know. So the idea is that we are present in whatever we are doing and do it gladly.